Kwame Kuma's book, The Illusion of Sovereignty. I have we have things to consider when it comes to understanding if this is the playbook of the West in Africa, or this is something that we are blindly copying to end up like them. Now people start running away from people are already running away from the country. Now to make it more unbearable for them, the Stockholm syndrome, the normalization of extortion when it comes to Ghana's real estate. This is what we're going to be discussing this morning. And let me say something. With the research I've done and all the findings that I've gathered, I'll say it's been quite a shock not to understand why a lot of people aren't really talking about this. Either perhaps they haven't noticed, or those who are actually talking about it are not having their voices heard. So adding on to whatever their findings are, whatever they've spoken about, in some sort of compilation to sort of present you with the best information possible when it comes to the real estate industry of Ghana. Because, as we all know, there's been a massive boom. It's not like there's skyscrapers everywhere. Just go to Accra, like there's skyscrapers everywhere. There's cranes, developments are ongoing. You are seeing brochures, pictures, things to pinpoint the prosperity or like the current prosperity phase that the country is going through. But behind every facade is something that the facade is trying to hide. So this is with the intent of bringing you what is behind the curtain. So as we all know, in our current state of housing and affordability and sustainability and all the whatnot, when it comes to rent, there's an issue that the government has even had to create a department with Mr. Frederick as the rent commissioner to try and bring the whole situation under control, because it's sort of like getting way out of hand. If you don't know what I mean, I'm talking about the rent problem that we are facing, where landlords are asking sometimes a year or 2 years advance per tenant, and that's creating a lot of commotions and a lot of buzz in the whole country because understandably, according to the research and the consensus, a lot of people in Ghana are young relatively, within the ages of 20 to 35 thereabouts. So they are basically starting out in life and asking for a 2 years rent in advance before you permit them to come in and stay is something that a lot of people are dealing with. And for the government to actually create a department for it, it means it's something that's more critical than the eye sort of pinpoints out to get it. So this is with the intention of, like I said, exposing what is behind the curtain. So let's get right into it. So you remember I mentioned something called the Stockholm syndrome. Okay, the Stockholm syndrome it's just some big fancy word, but according to Google, the Stockholm syndrome is a psychological response in which captives or abused victims develop positive feelings towards their captors as a coping mechanism. This is plenty, bro. But all that they're trying to say is we are getting to a phase in Ghana where it's now normal. I don't say I'll say it's now normal to pay 2 years rent upfront because it's become sort of like the industry standard. And the people who have been abused, which is the young people I'm talking about, the people who are now starting out in life, they are seeing it to be something that's normal because they're somehow born into it. So they're seeing it to be normal and something that is actually practiced in the country. And thus it's something that they have no say about. They don't have any, complaints to give whatsoever because ignorance, lack of understanding, being born into the system, the way we were groomed always to just go yes sir all the time, and that is bringing a lot of chaos and confusion into this real estate market. So, to further give you a historical background when it comes to the Stockholm syndrome, it originated in 1973 during a bank robbery in Stockholm, Sweden, where hostages developed unexpected sympathetic feelings towards their captors. Imagine, somebody can't say they can't rob the bank. Then you people who were inside the bank after being held captives at gunpoint, started developing unusual, like very concerning positive feelings towards your captors. And that's not even a red flag, that's a scarlet flag, because like imagine at gunpoint too, and all of a sudden, should I call this compassion? I have no idea. I wasn't back there in 1973. But they say it was coined after a 6 day hostage crisis. So listen, 6 days you were held hostage at the bank in Stockholm, and a convict attempted to rob a bank and took four employees hostage, three women and one man. Now, during the captivity, the hostages began to empathize with the captors and even defended them after being rescued. Like, I don't even need to go on anymore, like giving you the history, because it's something that doesn't make sense. After being held hostage for, was it 6 days, you decide to defend the people who held you captives as though they had a positive reason for doing it. Just think about that for a moment. That insane, absurd, you know, thought or concerning reality is what we're actually experiencing in Ghana now. When you're born in something, you actually don't have perceptive capabilities to understand whether it is right or wrong. Because yeah, no, yeah. So you too, you just joined the traffic, you just started doing it because that is how we've been raised. And this is a concern to like the citizens of Ghana. Now, this phenomenon, this act of taking years of rent upfront, is now something that a lot of young professionals are struggling to withhold, to uphold or understand. Even recently, I think in an interview with some panelists, I think 2 weeks ago on Joy Online, my Joy Online. So I'll leave a link to the video, but the panelists and the moderator will have a discussion concerning rent. And one of them pointed out that the young professionals that we are talking about, the young demographics of people, are spending about 70%. 70%. To imagine you've gone to work like 13 hours a day, 30 days a month. Like some people work Saturdays and Sundays, but like within, let's take the average within between Monday to Friday for 4 weeks straight, you earn money, and about 70% of that is going to rent. Like, and not even that you're even the place. So that's as you accumulating the money before you can either go and beg the landlord that Charlie open at Chonji like 6 months for now, and then within the next month or 2 months later, you bring in the next 6 months or something. This is just the accumulation of it too. So that kind of pressure. If actually you're just starting out in life, like kids have not come, and you're not even married yet. This is just you. This is just you, like starting out in life, and see the kind of economic pressure that you already feel that's imposed on you as fresh as you are in the market. This crisis is just put on you, and it's something that's wiping out the finances of the young professionals. So it won't be a shock if there's a spike in crime, because obiayeshi, everybody wants money. Money is the lifeline of work. You are not working just so that you can smile. You're working so that you get money. And if the youth turn their backs on work and turn towards a life of crime, productivity in Ghana decreases, taxes decrease. Like everyone tries to find a loophole, something that actually exists, but everyone tries to find a loophole to evade the kind of pressure that is being put on them for no reason at all. Because developers and landlords are unwilling to understand that this is Ghana, not Abrochi. This is Ghana, and we'll get to that in a moment. We'll talk about a lot of things actually, like with Kwame Nkrumah in the book he wrote on neo-colonialism, and some of the things he warned us about that are actually taking place now. But because we don't read, we don't understand that some things have been written afore, like before, and once we gain the knowledge when it comes to economics and governance, we begin to see a pattern. Okay, but we'll get to more of that in a moment. But for now, just trying to give you a brief overview of the rent situation. So if you're upcoming 13, 14, 15, and you're thinking, Charlie, you can't wait to grow up so they can eat all the ice creams in the world and, go to all the parties without your parents complain and everything. Just Charlie, sit tight and sit upright. Why not? Unless you are earning some billions of cedis per month or per year, Charlie, forget. You are coming to sweat like the rest of the 90% of people who are sweating in the country already. Okay, so why does this problem exist in the first place? That's something that I think is critical, something that I think we should look at, and it's something that I will try and delve into. Obviously, this is a community I'm speaking to, so obviously your engagements and your comments are going to let us know if we're on the right track, or if there's much more depths we need to go with this sort of investigation or something, because this is still a real estate channel, but with brains. Okay, just like this, the channel Egghead. Egghead literally means someone who is brilliant, someone Nadri Ijuma. So it's not just about come and buy, come and buy, come and buy, but you have to understand the dynamics behind the sales and everything. So back to the question: why are the landlords actually doing this? Okay, so you should understand that some landlords, like it's written over here, some landlords have overpaid for speculative properties. Okay, and then they are terrified their investment will fail due to like major reasons. You can have economic reasons, being the foremost for anything. You know, the city is depreciating, the city is happy, the dollar is this and this. So, obiara impatient, and everyone is trying to safeguard themselves from some poor investments, because you can't also, as a landlord, put down your life into a property and then just watch it go down without having any returns whatsoever. Now, to even talk about break even point, you will say, oh, whatever you put inside, and one, now when you're back. But for everything to go just go down like that into the red, oh, Charlie, heart attack at you. Then why is she? You understand? So some of them, they're just trying to transfer the risk, but in so doing, they are creating this environment where the tenants, irrespective of the earnings, like how much they earn, the demographics, irrespective of all of that, they are the ones to bear the risk the landlord is afraid to bear. And this is a problem because, like, just understand, Sir Jimmy, if you don't know about him, kindly go and search. He is a Nigerian real estate developer, and he is he recently, I think, was it within the course of this year, he did a particular interview which I think was so profound, something that I don't think Ghanaian developers are putting their heads into, because he wanted to build a skyscraper in, let's say a town called Malam or something. And they are well known. Like you see, when you say Death Trackle, when you say Regiman, or like people know, it's their reputation precedes them, so to speak. So Cephalagem, sorry, whoever you are, I apologize. Cephalagem came, let's say he came to Malam. Just give you an example. He came to Malam trying to set up, this luxurious apartment buildings so that you can attract investors into the environment, the locality and stuff. But the community elders, the chiefs and like the local authorities, they came together and they tried to stop him from setting up the building for reasons he didn't understand. They went up and down because he owned the land. Like it's not like there's some litigation or like anything whatsoever. He owned it. It's his right to build on it. You understand? But then the local authorities were not allowing him. Something so he posted it and I was like, this is brilliant. This is something that we should learn from. So going back and forth, he finally said decided to take some naira and then give it to one of the local authority, like one of the elders, to go and find out why he's being prohibited. And it was found out that they haven't understood the dynamics of real estate. They know that if it's to set up a luxurious apartment building in the community, rent prices are going to spike in the whole area. Landlords who were now charging, let's say, 500 cedis per month are going to start charging 2005. because the luxurious apartment building, the new landmark that has been built is charging like 7,000 Ghana cedis per month. So they feel like there's been an increase in an appreciation in property when it comes to the community, and that's something they don't want to miss out on. So either due to greed or being risk averse, they themselves will also what increase the price of the rent, and the local people are going to pay. Imagine, oh, like think about it. He's come to do something that you will call, development. We, sorry, will call development. Something that we will call uplifting the face of the community, to put it on the map, so to speak. And yet, see the careful consideration that was put into this to let them understand that, like, no, rent prices are going to skyrocket, and the people in the area, they can't afford it. So they can't let him build that apartment despite the supposed benefits that it will bring, either to Folajomi, his team, or even the community, the country as a whole. Having then understood this, he knew that that assessment was profound, something that was like, it's genuine. Having then thought about it, he decided not to do it. Like, just think about it. See the thought that has been placed into, like, something like this, the considerations and everything that's been put into it. And just look at it. Like, these are the kind of thinkings and thoughts and assumptions, considerations that we need to put into place when trying to speed up, let's say, the development of Ghana. Because Ghana is beautiful. Okay, I know. Like, when it rains, it floods. When there's doom saw, there's this, there's but the country itself, it's beautiful. The people themselves are beautiful. The culture, the attitude, the characteristics of the people are beautiful. And as we all know, character can change based on environment, based on pressure, based on like external factors, internal factors, anything at all can change attitude. So imagine this peaceful country all of a sudden becomes chaotic because the people are not able to afford anything anymore. You don't expect the people to keep smiling and then, nyambeyo, nyambeyo. No. There's going to be a spike in unwanted crimes, in distractive things. Things are going to go sideways for the country, and that's not something that I think we want. So looking at this, I'll say the Ghana's real estate industry is booming for that one, but it's booming for all the wrong reasons that developers themselves are trying to bring the diaspora from. Like, you get what I'm trying to say. Like, we'll dive into this much more in a later episode. I'm trying to make a series out of this because the findings that I have here, there's so much I can't place it all in one video and then like have you we'll sit down here for like 2 3 hours. Now you really. So I'm trying to make it as short as possible, but factual, pragmatic, so that we can sit down and reason. Sit down and reason. Because the developers are bringing the diaspora here. They themselves want to come because they're trying to run away from a system that is tormenting them. And them running away from that system, overpriced houses, mortgages they can't pay for, like taxes and stuff like that. You are recreating a mini America in Ghana, all in the name of development and in the name of status, like country status and stuff. So that was you be ranked the first number one best country in Africa or what? Nah, then what happens? Nothing. You can be ranked the number one best, and excuse me, like forgive me for my language, but like the country inside the country is just full of crap. Isn't it written that Jesus told the Pharisees, "You blind Pharisees, you clean the outside of the cup and the dish, and the inside of you is filthy. It's full of disgust and disdainful things." What did he tell them? He said, "First, clean the inside of the cup and the dish, and afterwards, do what?" Did he say clean the outside? No. He said once you clean the inside, automatically the outside becomes clean. You can't. try to import the image of another country upon yourself, all in the name of that's where everyone is going. That's where everyone is going. So what? And so what? There's a traffic to distraction. And if we can't sit down for ourselves and critically analyze what the Ghanaian people need, not the diaspora, in as much as it is good to set up developments for them, but having a housing deficit of 1.8 million and you building for the diaspora seems like a really absurd way of thinking. I had to find the right word. It seems to be a really poor choice of um, foresight for the country, for 1.8 million people to be home. Because listen, oh, listen. I know there are benefits. I know. The people are not treating the houses as even houses. They're treating them as financial assets. It's no longer a social commodity, and this is all just widening the gap between affordable and luxury. Like is affordable is no longer, if this is the base floor, affordable is no longer here. It's somewhere here. It's somewhere here, and the luxury is like sky high. But if you're creating, if you're building for the diaspora and your country is full of people who are homeless, the people who are building for the diaspora, they'll buy your apartment. True, no problem, and they'll rent it out, and you keep promising them 6%, 10%, 12% rental yields. Who's going to rent it? No, like something that you should consider. Who's going to rent it? Who? Because the average Ghanaian cannot even afford a simple self-contained for himself. Nah, and that one put they're charging, let's say, $75. No, 7,500 Ghana cedis per month, and that one put you struggling. No? And you that you are charging $22,000, that's 220 million for you, your studio at whatever location that you have. Who do you think will rent it? Because you see, you keep targeting a very niche demographics. You keep targeting diplomats, executives. You keep targeting high-profile individuals, which is fine. But as how many? How many are they? Because the people here, they have their houses. Unless there's a foreign, like, individual coming in and he needs a place to stay, or people are coming here for tourism, holidays, events, funerals, family gatherings, tracing back roots, culture, anything of the sort. That's when you're, and even with that, models, people are plenty. They can't occupy the whole, luxury building like of full of like 220 rooms. Boy, people are plenty. People are plenty. How would they? That means after even buying it, you have to work on marketing so that someone will see your property and then take it. Assume that it is the best amongst the rest, and then take it. You have to put your hopes on that. Otherwise, it's be sitting there in the darkness, and the only tenants you will have are spiders who don't pay rent. You get it? So, like I said, we'll delve very, very deep because I have so much to talk about. I have Kwame Kuma's book, The Illusion of Sovereignty. I have we have things to consider when it comes to understanding if this is the playbook of the West in Africa, or this is something that we are blindly copying to end up like them. Now people start running away from, people are already running away from the country. Now to make it more unbearable for them, this come from. So I believe this is something that is critical, something that we need to explore widely and deeply to understand the root cause, the problems, and to try and bring out solution. Because this may seem like something, a lot of talk, but after a lot of talk, it gets into the people, the heads of the people, even if not the current demographics, at least the people who are coming, they will understand because they've had it for quite some time. They will try to come up with solutions. You get it? So, like I said, we'll delve deep, very, very deep. This is going to be a very interesting and educative series. And I, for one, I'm proud to be the one presenting it to you guys. So, like I said, this is Egghead Real Estate. Kindly subscribe to the channel, leave a like for us, and like I said, kindly let's have a discussion in the comments, because I need to know if this has been understood or this needs to be delved in further. If we can proceed to the next series, if any other recommendations that may be, because like I said, we are doing the research ourselves as the team, but there's only so much we can find. There are other people in the country who are having other experiences, and you can share that with us. We'll do research on that to incorporate everything together, present you with whatever we find, and then hopefully build a better, brighter Ghana.